Okay, this is a video to show a repair or cleaning on a Danco tub spout with diverter. So I had a problem with my shower and I had a Simon's unit, and what happened was when you would turn the shower on, too much water would come out the spout, and I did try actually replacing the components in the valve body that control that, but it's still, even with the replacement components, it looks like the valve body itself was worn. So I might take another crack at that, but at that time, which was about 8 years ago, I came with this idea of replacing the tub spout with the tub spout diverter. Now, on the tub spout diverter, you pull up on the diverter, and that causes the water to go to the shower. So to use it that way, if you want to use that instead of the internal one, then this is always set to the bathtub position, and then you actually control the shower with the tub spout diverter. Okay, the tub spout diverter was working fine, but then after about 8 years or so, the flow down through the tub spout increased, and we essentially always use it in the shower position anyway, like 99% of the time, so that's a little bit of a waste. Now it says on the back of it that a few drops of water are expected to come out anyway, and they claim that a small amount of water is intended to flow from the spout when the diverter is engaged. This is a safety feature to help prevent unintended release of water. Okay, whatever. Now, the way this tub spout diverter works is quite clever. It has a gate with a washer, and the washer is round, and when you slide it into position, it covers. There you go, that hole. Okay, but the flow of water, the pressure of water, would tend to open the gate. It would tend to push against the washer and the gate. But the way that works is the washer has a hole in the middle, and then that's backed up with this plastic in a cavity. So apparently, the way that works is the water pressure goes in through that hole, and then actually pushes from behind and gives a nice tight seal, which seems rather clever. So the gate uses the water pressure itself to help seal it. Okay, so I took it apart. The way that you take it apart, first you have to get the tub spout off. That's step number one. This tub spout I happened to put on myself because I had used this to replace it. So I knew it was on very tight. I actually put it on so tight that the idea was I wanted not to have to caulk it. I thought if it was pushed against the fiberglass wall tight enough, it would be watertight. And that may very well be correct, but I put it on so tight, you can see I kind of formed a ring. I kind of dug into it. And as you're turning it, of course, you can't end up in any position except for the bottom. So with my case, it was either 3.5 turns or 4.5 turns. I had to go to 4.5 to get the thing facing down. And then trying to get it off, honestly, I thought I was going to break it. I did actually probably put a scratch in it right there. Maybe another scratch right there. The reason is because I had to use all sorts of tools. I used my big channel locks. I covered with, several, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 coats of the duct tape. But you can see it still tore the duct tape. The reason is because to actually get it to engage, I had to put that much force. And I reapplied the duct tape several times. I ended up using the heat gun. Applying the heat gun basically right up. I tried applying it from underneath so it wouldn't be visible if it did distort the color. I put the heat gun on low I hit it right there on that spot, which actually is pretty close to where the threads were. Anyway, eventually it came off without breaking, but I did do some damage on this. I will probably want to upgrade this to a higher quality one, but for now, my job really is just to see if I can improve the performance of this before doing it. And so that's step number one, getting it off. Step number two is disassembly of the spout diverter. So this knob is threaded. It goes on here, okay? And with the threaded knob, that's the secret to allowing this piece to release. Once you have it released, of course, you can clean it all out. I soaked everything in vinegar, like I normally do. Then the idea is that flat surface where that washer needs to seal against, you want that to be nice and smooth. So I hit that with some 150 grit, and then I hit it with some 500 grit. Okay, and I just use some kind of implements to try to just make it nice and flat. Okay, it's not perfect. It probably doesn't need to be perfect because the rubber has some resiliency. I actually tried the hairdryer before I went to the heat gun. I could not get it to come off with the heat gun hairdryer, so I just kept going and going until it did come off before it broke, so thank goodness. Okay, now I'm going to hit pause. I'm going to reassemble. I'm going to use a little bit of plumber's grease on the washer. As I reassemble the tub spout diverter, I'm going to apply some plumber's tape on the threads. I cleaned off the threads, nice and clean, and then I'm just going to put it back together and see how it does. I don't have a before and after, so I can't prove it. It wasn't leaking terribly. It's just that I know when we first got it, it only had a few drops, and now it had a little bit of more of a dribble or a stream. So I'm just going to put this together. I'll hit pause. I might show you some intermediate steps. Okay, thanks. Pause. Okay, that's the assembly of the tub spout diverter. The secret is knowing that this top knob is threaded. You can see I got some slight marks on that. That was on very tight, of course. I also used heat on that. I took the rubber O-ring as far away as I could before applying heat. I put some PB blaster in there. And of course I used the jaws of the pliers with the duct tape, but still got some scratches on that, but that not nearly as bad maybe as on the tub spout. And you can see that how it works in action. It's quite loose. It's the pressure of the water that actually makes the seal. So anyway, I'll hit pause again. I'll attach the thread. I will screw that on. We'll give this a final test. Okay, pause. Okay, I put this on 3.5 times. Not 4.5 times like I did before. And it still meets fine. I had cranked it because I was really pushing. The fiberglass tub has, give to it. I can tighten it more and push it in to try to make a watertight seal that way. I really am not happy with that. So this time I did 3.5. It still makes perfectly good contact. It just doesn't push on it. With 3.5, now I'll apply a silicone caulk bead around the upper half of this, and then hopefully it'll be easier to get on and off next time, because I think it's nice to be able to remove it without damaging anything. Okay, let's just test this out now. Okay, that's in the so-called top position. Now lift up. Okay, now the shower is taken over. And you can see a couple of drops. It's all relative, but before it was, this I believe is more or less the way it was when it was new. So I consider this a fix. And they do say that you might have to do this a couple times when you first clean it, based on some internet forums. There could be a little bit of debris that needs to get washed out or what have you. So it looks like a W. Thank you.